Hey guys, this is Karmachilla, and today I have a different type of video for you. As you may have known, I have not have been uploading consistent. Well, it's been consistent that I haven't been uploading consistently, but I have a lot of stuff happen to me this past year. I got married, I've been working a lot more hours, and my father passed away. Unfortunately, we're going to be talking about my dad passing because it still affects me today. I never imagined that my dad's passing would affect me the way it has been, but I swear the stages of grief is a real thing, and it's very hard. He was 48 years old, and in perspective, I'm 24. I just can't help but feel like my dad was taken too soon for me. You know, you got some people that have their parents in their 40s and 50s, and you know, me losing my dad at 24 was kind of very soon. And my brother, being 17 and my other brother being 12, 12 at the time of his death, he's been going through, they've been going through a lot too. As I mentioned earlier, I got married this year, and my dad was able to attend the wedding. And I've never saw him so happy at that moment. I mean, like, he was a happy person, at least on the outside, but he was going through a lot. He was going through separation from my mom. His health was declining, and he was not able to make ends meet. With his health declining, I mean, he has type 1 diabetes, and he recently went for surgery to remove his toe because it got infected, and due to the diabetes, he's not able to have, his body heal as fast as, say, you and I would. Or anybody that's not normal, but like doesn't have diabetes. But anyways, he was not able to make ends meet as well because, he works 40 hours as an electrician, but with cost of living getting so high, it's kind of hard to, keep paying those bills. Sorry, I coughed. I must mention that me and my dad loved soccer. That's one of the things that me and my dad used to always, we really bonded on soccer and Minecraft. You used to love Minecraft a lot. We would watch as many Luton Town games as possible between our schedules, because before August, when I decided to take on the second job, I would go over his house, watch Luton Town games, call out of work, use my time, and watch those games with him. Because I don't know, I just felt like spend some time with him, and it was pretty interesting that I had somebody else that we just liked the same thing. But yeah, the team that we support is Luton, and they are in the Premier League right now, and they recently won the championship playoff final, which I did get to see with my dad. So that was kind of a good experience, that a good memory that I have of him. So the reason for the two jobs of me working so much is because I can't pay my bills off my one job. But in doing that, I have significantly less free time to do the stuff I like to do. And that includes, I wasn't able to see my dad as much as I was seeing him. But, I wasn't thinking that he was going to die. I was thinking like, okay, well, when my wife becomes a nurse, then I'll just go back to one job and then we can continue watching the games. But yeah, basically towards the end of his life, I wasn't feeling like I was very motivated to work. Like, I wanted to call out all the time. And I mean, I don't know what it was. It was just something that like overcame me. Like, I never felt that in my life. But, now I know it must have been from the man upstairs, because there's no way that, because like I said, it happened in succession, like 2 games, like one after another, before his death, that I was able to watch it with him. But on October 5th, 2023, this past year, I got a call when I was at my second job at McDonald's, because I work as a maintenance man at McDonald's. It was from my mom. She told me, well, I don't remember the exact words that she told me, but she said, "Hey, I don't want you to be concerned, but we have not been able to reach Dad." Before that phone call, I was having a really great day. Like I was learning new stuff because I was relatively new at the job. I was learning how to, fix some of the machines, fix the shake machine that everybody says, "Oh, wow, McDonald's doesn't have their shake machine." I was learning all this stuff, and I was having a really good time. But when I got that phone call, it was like the life was sucked out of me. Like I was very worried. I said, "What do you mean you have not been able to contact Dad?" Like that doesn't seem normal. Like she said, like, "We haven't been able to contact him in a couple days." I mean, like that's really worrisome. She was saying stuff like maybe he forgot to pay the bill, but his phone plan was with, so Spectrum. I don't know if you know, but like they have like the free phone line for a year. My dad had it, so I know it couldn't have been the bill. It just didn't seem right in my head. So after that phone call ended, the neighbor of my dad called my brother, saying that, that work has been trying to contact him for the past couple days and they haven't been able to reach him. And my dad's a really relatively hard worker, and if he was calling out, he will call out. He would never, in my life, he would never call, no show. I mean, he had instances where like he fell down the stairs because he was running late for work. He wasn't that sort of person to just say, "I'm not showing up to work and I'm not letting my boss know." He wanted to go up in the chain. He wanted to be a foreman. He was an electrician. So my brother got a phone call from the neighbor saying, "Oh, we haven't been able to contact him, and we need you to come in the house." And so obviously this was already being in the works. This stuff was going on while I was at work, because my brother actually told my mom not to tell me, and I was like, what the hell? I need to know this stuff because, I would have left immediately. But anyway, so, my brother called my mom, saying all that. And, my brother was heading over to my dad's house. Now, my brother was only like 15 minutes away, if that, from the house. I was still like an hour and 15 minutes away because of my job and where I was. Now, my brother gets to the house, and he's only 17 years old. He walks into my dad's house and just found him on the floor. My brother tried to shake him, but when my mom called me for the last time, she said he was cold. That was the moment I knew he was gone. Like there was no coming back from that. Like he was dead probably for a couple days now. I didn't want my brother to walk into that house, but there was no way I was going to get there before him. Like no way. As soon as my mom said he was cold, I started bursting out in tears in my car because I obviously left work. I wasn't going to stay. I mean, common sense. I was going to go over to get to my brother because he's just witnessed, our dad dead. So my father-in-law, which I called because my wife at the time was actually at a celebration party. Like, she was at a celebration party because she's in nursing school right now. She was at a celebration party, and I couldn't get to her at that moment. But I called my father-in-law, and I said, my dad's dead. I said I need to go see my brother. I need to leave work. I don't know why I called him, but that's just the words that came out of my mouth. But I wasn't in the state of mind to drive because I was like hysterical. I was bad. I mean, I was breaking down. So anywho, I get to the my father-in-law's house, and I just started bursting out and stuff, and I hopped into his car and we drove to my dad's house. When I arrived to my father's house, I saw 7 cop cars in the driveway. And that was very, very shocking to me because, even though I knew the situation, he's dead or whatever, it was so fresh that I was like, well, why is there 7 cop cars in the driveway? And I wanted to desperately see my dad, but the cops told me, I cannot let you in because they're doing an investigation. And obviously they said stuff like, oh, well, you don't want this to be an image of your dad. I did not know how my dad was left. I didn't know, what he looked like. I did not know how long he's been dead. I did not it couldn't have been that long because I was able to contact, the last time I had a phone call with him was on the Sunday before his death. But I was just, very, it was just unreal to me because I just couldn't, it made no sense. My dad was fine. There was no signs that he was going to die, So anywho, I'm over there and I'm seeing these 7 cop cars and I'm just sitting there for forever because they're doing this investigation to see, what was the cause of death or whatever. But they come around and say that he died because of diabetes or natural causes because obviously there's no foul play, so they weren't going to do a whole biopsy and all that, or autopsy, I mean. And I was like, okay, well, it kind of bothers me that I didn't know how he died because, he kind of just left and we couldn't say bye to him. All of us, we couldn't say bye to my dad. That forever bothers us because, if he died of cancer, then then I would have been able to say goodbye to him, but the way he went was it was very horrible for us. So anyways, I thought his life was turning around, he was going through a lot, like I said, with, his divorce and all that, but it seemed like he was like, oh, well, I messed this up, so let me fix the car, let me get an old car, let me fix that up, let's save my money. I thought things were genuinely changing for him, but anywho, after the funeral home took his body away, because we were able to see his body, because I wanted to see him for one last time. I don't know, I just had a sudden urge to see him one last time, because I was I'm never going to be able to see him again after this. This is the last time I'm going to be able to see my dad. And part of me, I don't regret it, because, I wanted to see him. Part of me is to see how blue he was, because, when you're dead, you've been sitting for a little while, I guess you get blue. Anyways, we go into the house, and the house is very strong of the smell of ketoacidosis. I think I'm saying it right, because he was a type 1 diabetic, he had ketoacidosis, and he would sometimes not take care of his diabetes, but towards the end of his life, he was really taking care of it. He was taking his shots, he was doing the right things. And when we looked at his blood testing kit that actually has the history of his previous blood sugars, it was like he was doing a really good job of maintaining his blood sugars. So anywho, the very next day we went back to the house, because me and my brother, we were just like, we need to break into his phone because he had a security camera. And then we could see, like, when was the last footage of him? That was what we were saying. And so, anywho, we go to the house, and it was so weird to see that, he had his car in the driveway, and we go in, and no one's there. It was just very surreal. It was just weird. It was not, like, something I would expect. But, anyway, so we get in, break into his phone. We got into the camera, and what we saw was on the 3rd of October. So it's marked down that he died on the 5th, but on the 3rd of October was the last activity that the camera recorded before we showed up at my dad's house. So on the 3rd, it shows my dad moving very slowly, getting into the car, sitting for around 20 minutes, and walking back into the house. He was walking very slow, he was breathing heavy, and it was looking like he was having a heart attack. Genuinely, like he had like a small heart attack, didn't realize it, and then went inside, and then it was what it was. We had his car key, and we checked we turned on the car, and we found out that he had no gas, or he had really low gas into the car. So I don't know if that's why he walked back inside the house, but we were just like puzzled to see why he walked into the house. He knew something was wrong, but again, at that moment, maybe he was delusional or something was going on in his brain because it was a lack of oxygen. I'm not a nurse, but my wife is. But I think the way she tried to explain it was, he had a lack of oxygen. Maybe he was getting confused, and he was getting delusional. But anyways, so he didn't call any of us, to like on that day, like, oh, hey, I'm not feeling good. Hey, I might need to go to the hospital. Hey, I need to go to the ER. He just called, his neighbor called him because they noticed that he was home, and he just said, well, my back hurts, so I need to see a chiropractor. And she didn't really associate it with a heart attack because she had a husband that worked with the same company that he worked for. So really they knew each other based off his work. But anywho, they never really associated with a heart attack. They just thought it was back pain, and they just thought, yeah. So anyways, on the 3rd, I sent him a text and he didn't reply, but I didn't really think that it was abnormal because, I thought he was sleeping, because sometimes he would sleep or sometimes he would just forget to reply. That was just his personality, so I was giving him the benefit of the doubt. The Sunday that I called him before his death, we were talking about, the Luton game, how they won against Everton, the first ever win in the Premier League that they had. And I said, that's really cool that they won. I said, hey, if you want, I could call out on Tuesday, to watch the Burnley game. And he said, no, I'll be at work. But it turns out that he didn't work on the Monday, and obviously, on Tuesday he died, so he wasn't at work. It just sucks because it's very tragic that he died 3 months after my wedding. I feel for my brother and my brothers and my sister because, they don't have the experience of, you know, my brother's never going to be able to have my dad at the wedding. My sister's never going to have, him at the wedding either, at her wedding. I just, I just wish I could see him one last time. Just to say that I love him and will miss him. I'll miss going over to his house, having coffee and talking, about various topics. Politics, anything really. I'll miss playing video games with him because we used to play Minecraft. That was a big game we used to play, and sometimes Civilization. When I was a teenager, I used to find it annoying when he would go into my room, but at that age, you never know when the last day is going to be for somebody, because you think you're invincible, nothing's going to happen to you. But everybody has a time when they go. Some people don't have fathers that care about their kids that much, so I take that for granted that, he did do those things. And I complained, like that. Oh, my father didn't buy my car. I had to do this. I had to do that. But my dad really cared about me having a future, me having, success, me being able to be happy in life. I'll miss watching the Luton games with him. Every time I watch the games now, it's alone, and it's not the same. I know the natural order of things. The parents are supposed to pass away first, but my dad will never be able to see my kids. He will never be able to see me graduate college someday, when I go back, because I had to postpone it. I was really messing around, working these other jobs and not doing what I had to do. I met my wife, and I don't regret meeting my wife. She's the love of my life. I just can't believe he will never be able to see me graduate, get that job that I always wanted. Even for a type 1 diabetic, the ages of life expectancy is 65 to 72 years old, but not 48. But a heart attack can strike anybody at any time. And obviously in Luton Town's case, Tom Lockyer, our captain, had a cardiac arrest. Obviously he's alive, but I think he's only like 28, 29. Could be wrong. He could be younger, could be around the same age, but it can happen to anybody. But anyways, so now it's January and I'm watching the games alone, and anytime when we win or anything revolving around Luton, I want to call him, but I just can't. At least I haven't turned to drugs or alcohol, because it could be worse. Drinking alcohol and doing drugs is an outlet for some people when something like this happens, but for me it's just I don't know, it's just I don't do that, but it's just like I kind of like just think constantly in my head and I internalize everything. If there's anything I want you to take from this video, is not to take life for granted. Everybody has a time which they will pass. And so I just say cherish every moment that you have with your parents or loved ones, because there will be a time where you won't be able to see them anymore or talk to them. I'll finish off by saying I love you, Dad, and I hope I get to see you someday. I just really hope that you're in a better place and you're in heaven, and I get to see you, and I really hope I get to talk to you again. So yeah, that's all I have for this video. Peace.